Excellent, thank you so much. So we're gonna shift gears a little bit, and some of you guys might already know this, but maybe this is new information to you too. So multinational corporations are leaving BC, forestry corporations. Why are they leaving?
So, rapid history lesson. Back then, we were all here doing this, right? The war in the woods, remember that? We knew then that no trees was a bad thing. And it was because of this. Forest practices looked like this in the early 90s. And what came out of that is an NDP government in 1995 came up with the Forest Practices Code, and they said, we're going to have biodiversity guidebook, and we're going to save parts of the forest, and we're going to do it better. That's what they said in 1995. I pretty much started working on these things about then. And what happened, so parks were enacted, and this thing was put in place that was supposed to help biodiversity. And what happened from then is that, of course, there was lobbying by industry, and there was a government change in that moment. And in 2001, they scrapped those rules. They changed to professional reliance, and they set in place these timber supply caps that stopped the impact of the biodiversity rules from impacting timber supply. And they gave biodiversity 5.1% of the productive forest. They said you can have a timber supply cap of 5.1%. That's all you can have. That's the number of trees that you can have contributing to maintaining biodiversity. You can have all the rocks and ice that you want. In fact, they gave us those. That's what the parks are. 45% of the distributed parks are rocks and ice, and less than 3% are low elevation forest types. So they skewed everything and started the game of this. This is what we have. This is what the landscape looks like. This is not, I didn't have to try hard to take this picture. You just have to look outside. It's absolutely everywhere. And during all of that, we harvested the forest. We maintained forest harvesting at 70 to 90 million cubic meters for 5 decades, while bringing in all the parks, while doing biodiversity management, while doing all of this stuff. I'm getting to the answer, really am. In 2020, we changed governments again, just a little bit before that. So that was what happened under the Liberals. All of that happened during that time period. In 2020, the NDP's back in, they put out a review, they get these 2 forestry guys to write a report on the state of the forests and what should be done. And they said, oh my God, we screwed up. That's what they said, pretty much.
Name of the guys?
Yeah, Gary Merkel and Al Gawley. And they said, we haven't included First Nations. One of them is a First Nations fellow. And that was recommendation number 1. And recommendation number 2 was we need to view the forest really differently. We need to think about, instead of this is a thing to get timber from, this is a thing to get all these values, all this ecosystem health from. And they said this, and the government that we currently have in play agreed. And they said, okay, let's do it. So that started to scare the companies right there. That is partly why they went away. And so that paradigm shift, what is that? It's how to see the forest. Viewing the forest through the lens, and I always say, we didn't need a paradigm shift because most of us already saw those things in the forest. But the companies needed a paradigm shift, the forests needed a paradigm shift. The other thing that happened was that DRIPPER, the Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People Act, was brought in by the NDP and to move forward UNDRIP and put nations centered in decision making. So those 2 things happened. And so this, we used to log those, and now we log the little trees in the back. That's my dog in there. And they don't want to log the little trees. So this is another reason why they're going. They logged all the big trees, and now they have to log the little trees, and there isn't so much money or value in those. So all of these things are coming together. It's called the fall down. There's no trees left. There's literally no volume left. And now we have landscapes that look like this. So we have neither ecosystem health nor value. I really am answering it. And so here, we logged for 5 decades at more than 70 million cubic meters. And now, in the last 5 years, it has crashed. We have run out of wood. We're down at 40 million cubic meters from 70 just less than a decade ago. And in the next 5 years, it's projected to go down to 35 million cubic meters. So that is all those mill closures. But this was absolutely predictable. We knew this was coming. We did not plan for it. And now they're going, oh, there's no trees. We have to go somewhere else now. Sorry, bye. That's why they're leaving.
Excellent summary. So in our Forest Act proposal, which is on our website on boundaryforest.org under our reports, I believe it's in the backgrounder document. I've got a copy of a graph that was produced by David Broadland, who does excellent analysis. And the graph shows that declining harvesting levels over the past few years. So industry sees what's happening, and they are shutting down BC mills. 3 mills around Prince George, Canfor just shut down recently, and they're investing in mills in Arkansas, Louisiana, Georgia, and they're closing the mills here and heading down there because what are the rotations like down there compared years-wise, decades-wise compared to up here?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a totally different system. We're basically spending the capital that is generated over thousands of years in BC to build the primary forest that we have. You know, it literally is on the stand 1,000 plus, 2,000 plus, 3,000 plus years. Forests on the coast have not been disturbed since the last ice age. So that is capital that is built through that time period in carbon, in biodiversity, all those values. Right? And in our forests, there's much more rapid natural disturbances, and so that has generated capital over hundreds of years instead of thousands of years, except for in the wet belt in just north of here, where it, again, is thousands of years. So those forests, well, they never will come back. Even if we wait forever, they're not coming back, but we don't plan to. Our rotation age here in the interior is around 100 years. In the south, it's around 20 years. And, you know, so there, it's completely different. Like the model of forestry is completely different in those places. And they can go there, now that they've taken this value, they can leave. And yeah.